Krishna Krishna Rama 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Rama Rama Jai Gaura Premanande. Hare Krishna, everyone. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 7, Text 14. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Does everyone have the verse? Yeah. Desham Kupata Distrinam Patatam Tamasi Yada Ye Shraddhayurvachaste Bhajanti
Tesham kupata drishtrinam patatam tamasi yada ye shraddha dyurvachastevai bhajanti ashmaprava iva. Tesham kupata drishtrinam patatam tamasi yada ye shraddha dyurvachastevai Majanti Ashmablava Iva. Please chant. Vaishnavis. Destrinam. Desham of them, the misleaders. Kupata Destrinam, who show the path of danger. Patatam, them falling. Tamasi, he, indeed. Ada, down. Ye, anyone. Shraddha, do you place faith in? Vacha, the words. Te, they. Vai, indeed. Majanti, sink. Ashmaplava, boats made of stone. Iva, like. Translation and Srila Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Leaders who have fallen into ignorance and who mislead people by directing them to the path of destruction, as described in the previous verse, are in effect boarding a stone boat, and so too are those who blindly follow them. A stone boat would be unable to float and would sink in the water with its passengers. Similarly, those who mislead people go to hell, and their followers go with them. Purport. As stated in the Vedic literature, Nirdeham Adhyam Sulabham Sudurlabham Plavam Sukalpam Gurukarna Dharam. We, the conditioned souls, have fallen in the ocean of nescience, but the human body fortunately provides us a good opportunity to cross the ocean when directed by a spiritual master acting as the captain. The boat can very easily cross the ocean. Furthermore, the boat is helped across by favorable winds, which are the instructions of the Vedic knowledge. If one does not take advantage of all these facilities to cross the ocean of nations, he's certainly committing suicide. One who boards a boat made of stone is doomed. To be elevated to the stage of perfection, humanity must first give up false leaders who present boats of stone. All of human society is in a instructions of the Vedas. The cream of these instructions appears in the form of Bhagavad Gita. One should not take shelter from any other instruction, for Bhagavad Gita gives direct instructions on how to fulfill the aim of human life. Lord Shri Krishna therefore says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Give up all other processes of religion and simply surrender unto me. Even if one does not accept Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his instructions are so exalted and beneficial for humanity, one will be saved. Otherwise, one will be cheated by unauthorized meditation and gymnastic methods of yoga. Thus one will board a boat of stone, which will sink and drown all its passengers. Unfortunately, although the American people are extremely eager to get out of materialistic chaos, they're sometimes found to patronize the makers of stone boats. That will not help them. They must take the proper boat offered by Krishna in the form of the Krishna consciousness movement. Then they will be easily saved. In this regard, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Maya plavo yesham te yatha manjantam plavam anumajati tateti ajanitya upadishchu swasabhyeshu kapo vyanjitaha. If society is guided by political diplomacy, with one nation maneuvering against another, it will certainly sink like a stone boat. Political maneuvering and diplomacy will not save human society. People must take to Krishna consciousness to understand the aim of life, to understand God, and to fulfill the human mission. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So Hare Krishna everyone, good morning. So in this verse, Indra is talking about how he's lamenting that he didn't stand for his guru who came, Brahaspati. And he's speaking about leaders misdirect. He's basically talking sort of about himself because he's lamenting. So what I wanted to speak today about was what are the characteristics of good leaders. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's many examples of great leaders, but the one I wanted to outline was the Mahajan Narad Muni. So Narad Muni is considered one of the Mahajans. Brahma Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapila Manu Lada Janaka Bhima Ali Sakir Bayam. So he's one of the Mahajans. And we have to follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans. Mahajana Yena Gatasa Panta. So I wanted to outline a few pastimes and a few qualities that Narad Muni has that exemplify good leadership. And I'd love to hear your thoughts after, so we'll leave enough time for reflection so you can also give your feedback and your thoughts. So the first quality I wanted to highlight about Narad Muni, inspiring transformational quality of his own Krishna consciousness. Narada Muni is deeply devoted to Krishna, and his unwavering faith and spiritual wisdom guides his actions. So he's guided by his spirituality, his Krishna consciousness. Now, which pastime does that really come out? We know the pastime of Mrigari, the hunter. It's one of my favorite pastimes. He transforms the heart of Mrigari in such a deep way. Srila Prabhupada summarizes this story in a lecture, and he talks at the end of the story, Narad Muni is nearby Mrigari's ashram. And he's with his friend Parvat Muni, and he says, should we go visit my disciple? He lives nearby here. And Parvat Muni said, okay, let's go. And so as they come closer to Mrugari's ashram, they see him from far away and he's running with them. He's jumping as if he's avoiding something in a weird way. And so as he comes closer, Parvat Muni asked him, why did you, were you jumping like that? And Mrugari said that he was avoiding the ants that were on the floor. He didn't want to kill them. Parvat Muni says, imagine someone who was half killing and taking pleasure in half killing animals is now jumping to kill little ants. Imagine this transformation that has come just because of the association of a pure devotee like Narad Muni. Another example is in the story of Vyasadeva. Narad Muni is the guru of Vyasadeva, and Vyasadeva was feeling dissatisfied from writing all the itihasas, the Mahabharata. He just felt completely despondent. And after consulting with his guru, Narad Muni said that you're feeling dissatisfied because you have not described the pastimes of Krishna, the transcendental past. That's why you're feeling despondent. And so, because of that transformational instruction, Vyasadeva composed the Srimad Bhagavatam. So a good leader inspires others through their own commitment and through their own knowledge. And a good leader inspires growth and positive change in others. So how important is this for the leaders of ISKCON to take this example of Narad Muni, that we be the first thing is our own Krishna consciousness. Like I was really happy when Rupanuga Prabhu said that first day about how these tools we have are important, but they're not substitutes for our own sadhana and our own Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada is another example of this. He came under that tree in Tompkins Square Park, and he, with his own purity and Krishna consciousness, affected the lives of so many thousands of people that, I mean, we're sitting here today because of that, right? Because he just sat under that tree. His bhakti, his own transformational Krishna conscious quality is what affected people. He wasn't thinking like external things. He wasn't thinking maybe if I wear kurta or I don't wear kurta, I might affect someone differently. No, he didn't think like that. It was his own Krishna consciousness that affected everyone. Compassion and empathy is also another quality of leaders that uh, can affect others. And in the story of Narada Muni, Narada Muni's heart overflows with compassion for all living entities. He feels their pain and seeks to alleviate suffering. And in the story of Narada Muni, and he felt the pain for those animals who were being half killed. And then he felt pain for Mrugari as well. That he told him that you're going to. He explained what karma was, and basically changed his heart by expressing that. Another story is the story of the Haryashvas, and how at the end of that story, Daksha cursed Narada. Narad Muni, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport that because of Narada's compassion, he actually should have left that area when he got cursed by Daksha. He should have left. But what he did was he stayed and he let Daksha curse him and then basically repent and then become Krishna conscious after he cursed him. He basically let him cool down, essentially. And so he stayed there because of his compassion. Otherwise, if someone insults you, you're going to leave. But because due to the compassion of Narad Muni, he stayed. Stand the struggles and work to create a better environment. Work to create a better, in our context, to work to create a better environment in ISKCON. And so I mean, there's two ways to look at this. We have to understand and feel empathy towards the conditioned souls who are out there who don't know about Krishna and therefore try to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. But also we have to be able to use our compassion to create systems and infrastructure in ISKCON to continue spreading Krishna consciousness and also to retain devotees. I was talking to Nrsingarupa Prabhu about that it's one thing that we count how many devotees we've made, but also how many have left throughout the years. It's something that we should have compassion and empathy for those devotees as well. Effective communication is another quality Narad Muni possesses. He travels all over the world sharing his divine knowledge, and his eloquence and ability to convey complex truths makes him an exceptional communicator. Just like in the Maharaj, Narad Muni's communication skills to preach to Narada, who was in the womb of his mother, and to Dhruva, who was I'm very loud, so a 5-year-old boy, Dhruva, he inspired him to, search for Krishna. And that was due to his communication. And in the other way, Narad Muni also has been called like an instigator in some ways. Instigator is like a negative term, but in a positive way, to push on Krishna's pastimes. He preached to Kamsa. He didn't really preach to him, but he spoke to Kamsa to make him scared. That there's Krishna and he's still alive. He's somewhere. And then he was the catalyst for those different pastimes of Krishna. She heard the words of Narada Muni and fell in love with Krishna, madly in love with Krishna, before even meeting him. And then that whole pastime ensues where she sends the messenger to Krishna with this amazing letter. Krishna said, I also felt the same way. And it's just like the most amazing story. So leaders must know how to articulate the teachings and inspire others to follow. It's a very important quality to have. So as leaders in ISKCON, we need to know our philosophy and be able to communicate it effectively. Selflessness and detachment. Narada remains detached from material possessions. His focus is solely on serving Krishna and other living entities. We know that Narada Muni just travels all around the world as a transcendental spaceman. Narada Muni Bhajaya Vina Radhikara Mananame Nama Amani Udita Hai Bhakata Gita Same. Narada Muni travels around the world speaking the name of Radharaman, and the holy name, descends wherever he is doing kirtan. So he was actually cursed by Daksha. When I was speaking about that curse, he said, Daksha cursed him. He said that you will never be able to stay in one place. You will go, you'll have to leave the place. And because of his detachment, Narad Muni accepted. He said, Tatastu, I will take that curse. And so he travels around. So a good leader prioritizes the welfare of others over their own personal gain. As leaders of ISKCON, we need to put the needs of ISKCON before our own. In ISKCON, we need to have also detachment from our efforts. We can actually do so many efforts for things, but if it's not blessed by Krishna, then we might not get the fruit that we're looking for. And so there's a certain detachment that's required. We've seen so many devotees come and go within ISKCON, and sometimes we might feel sad about that, but there's a certain detachment that's needed for, this thing that could happen. And also detachment from position. Succession, it's another important thing, right? Detachment from, we are positions, but we also should be detached from them. Because ultimately, those things are upadis. Whatever roles that we might play that are not completely spiritual, like in our spiritual lives, then are, the side effect of bhakti, sarvobhadi vinir muktam, that verse, side effects of performing devotional service is that we become freed from material designations. Problem-solving skills. Narad Muni is able to intervene in various situations, offering solutions and guidance. His wisdom helps to resolve conflicts. Leaders must be able to analyze and challenges and find practical solutions. Narad Muni have to problem solve or resolve conflicts. We heard from Vajrabihari Prabhu to resolve conflicts. In the story of Prahlad Maharaj, after Hiranyakashipu goes to the forest, the demigods attack his palace and they arrest his wife, Kayadu, who has Prahlad in the womb. And so Narad Muni appears and he says to Indra that this child that is within the womb of Kayadu, he's sinless and faultless, and therefore you won't even be able to kill him. And so because of his intervention, both parties, it was a win-win situation. Indra was happy that this wasn't a demon. He thought it was going to be a second Hiranyakashipu. And because of that, Kayadu was pacified that she wasn't going to be harmed. When I was reading this and I was thinking about Vajrabihari Prabhu and the tools that he taught us, what could we're not we he came up to Indra and he kind of just assumed that he was going to kill. We shouldn't make assumptions, right? No assumptions, and using what and how questions. So he should have said maybe like, what are you envisioning doing with Kayadu or something? It's a side thing, but his intervention is what helped the situation. So in ISKCON, we have to be able to be trained in problem solving, which we're doing. That's really important, and conflict resolution, because we're going to have many problems as leaders. That's like the main things. Dealing with problem after problem. Adaptability and versatility. Narada is able to adapt to different contexts, whether he's advising kings, demigods, or common people. He adjusted his approach between all those different people that I'm discussing, between Mrigari, Haryashvas, Prahlad, Dhruva. For example, Mrigari, he just told him to stop half killing animals, and he explained karma to him. That was his instruction. Just stop half killing them, just fully kill them. And for Haryashvas, the 10,000 sons of Daksha, he told them, surrender unto Krishna now completely and leave your posts as becoming the Prajapatis of the universe. And for Dhruva, he first tested Dhruva's determination. He told Dhruva, you're just a boy. You're just a 5-year-old boy. What are you thinking of going to the forest? There's animals there that you can be hurt by and all that. So he had to adjust his presentation to whoever he was talking to. So good leaders thrive by approach based on their audience and based on the circumstances. So as leaders, we have to be able to adjust our approach to the different devotees that we're dealing with. The needs of a Prabhupada disciple are not the same needs of someone who just came off the street, right? There's different needs that devotees have. So there needs to be an adjustment that's made, and we need to accommodate everybody. I remember a temple that I was a part of, they were overly focused on new people. And so the devotees that had been around 20 years, they felt a little bit neglected, that there was no programming for them. So So that's not, that's unfortunate. We have to be able to accommodate all devotees, whether the new one or the old one. Fearlessness and driving away others' fear. Narada Muni was fearlessly confronting powerful kings like Daksha or Kamsa. After he had talked to the Haryashvas and preached to them, Daksha had more sons, the Shuvalashvas, and he preached to those sons as well and told them to give up everything. Daksha was like, "What are you doing?" Was Narada like, "Oh, I'm making Daksha upset. Maybe I should stop." No, he was completely convicted. He was completely fearless in the way he was, his Krishna consciousness, and he stood up for the truth that he understood was proper. That I should preach to these 20,000 people and tell them to completely give up everything, and that therefore Daksha cursed him. He also brought on fearlessness to others, to those he met. In the story of the Prachetas, when Narad Muni appears to the Prachetas, they say to him that just as the sun, fear of darkness, that now that you have come here, you have dispelled our fear. They're speaking about their guru. There's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that Srila Prabhupada often quotes. Bhayam dvitiya abhiniveshata syad, ishad apetasya vipadeyo smiti, tanmayato buddha abhajektam bhaktaikayesham gurudevatatma. That fear arises in the living entity when they consider themselves to be their body. They're thinking about something other than the Lord. Dvitiya means something else. And biniveshata means absorption in something other than the Lord. And that fear is brought on by Maya. And so if one wants to be free from fear, then they should engage in Krishna consciousness under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master who they will make their very life and soul. Guru Devatatma. And so the Prachetas saw Narada like that. And he also drove away the fear of Mrigari. Mrigari, when he started to become open to Narada's past instructions, he said, how am I going to maintain myself? If I break my bow and stop hunting, I'm going to maintain myself. And so through the instruction of Narada Muni, don't worry about it. Krishna will maintain you. Just follow my instruction, chant Hare Krishna and become a devotee. And so therefore he drove away the fear of Mrigari. So leaders must stand up for truth, even in challenging situations. We heard culture will determine you, or you can determine the culture. So we need to stand up according to the principle of Guru Stra. We have to have conviction. He has a vision that extends beyond short-term gains. So in the story of Dhruva Maharaj, of Prahlad Maharaj, of Mrigari also, we don't hear so much about it, but Prahlad Maharaj ended up becoming a wonderful king for thousands of years. As an adult, he was, ruling a huge kingdom as a Raja Rishi. Dhruva Maharaj the same way. Dhruva Maharaj, we hear how he got, his brother got killed by the Yakshas and he fought them, and all that culminated because of the preaching of Narad Muni, of his commitment to the vision of, the long-term vision that these are going to become Raja Rishis. And so talking to them and preaching to them and thinking about the future. So leaders should have a vision that So as we're doing here in the GBC College, we should put time and energy into developing a vision for the future. Again, session. Things are going to go on in the short term, but we need to think what's going to happen in the long term. And various devotees are doing that. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So in conclusion, it's important to take shelter of these pastimes from the Srimad Bhagavatam so we can understand how true leaders react in various circumstances. In the story of circumstances, because there are going to be hard times for leaders. There are going to be hard times. It's not a question of if it's going to happen, it's a question of when it's going to happen. And so we can take heart in reading these pastimes and extracting the lessons from them and using them in our own life. And so, as Srila Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book, one's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situations. I'll say that again. One's greatness has to be estimated by one's ability to tolerate provoking situations. And so strive for this kind of greatness. And I think we will. I think the future is bright. Hare Krishna, thank you for allowing me to speak. And if you have any reflections, I'd love to hear them or any corrections. I will. I just want to review the different qualities that I said. So devotion, which is a transformational quality, his own devotion. Compassion and empathy, effective communication, selflessness and detachment, problem-solving skills, adaptability and versatility, fearlessness and driving away the fear of others, and the last one, long-term vision. If you have any questions or comments or reflections. Yes, Prabhu.
I just want to explain this was brilliant.
Thank you.
That you took so much time to pull out these gems from out of money's pastimes. Never heard this before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Shimmer Prabhu.
I was really appreciating for the voice that we have right now.
Mm.
And sometime at some point in my life earlier, I think I had maybe a narrow vision of what outreach really means, reaching to the devotees. We talked about
A narrow vision of what outreach means.
Yeah, and and uh, and we talked about this a little bit, but basically, what I've come to now is seeing outreach as everything from the give somebody their first book to all the way doing us to their spiritual life, all the way to their life. And in that way, it really encouraged me and inspired me the idea of like a holistic approach to outreach. And it's not that we don't want to, and you made that point, we want to keep sharing messages so everybody
Yeah.
and that just equally as important to that is also taking care of everybody from like what after they get the book, where do they go next? What's the journey from then until the end of their life on into their next lives?
Right. Outreach means from the time that they get a book to throughout their life, not just getting the book. Thank you. That's a great point.
Actually, I was just reminded of Varsana Swami Maharaj. He was once telling us that outreach, or literally he says, sharing. He doesn't like the word preaching as much.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, sharing Krishna consciousness means helping a person retain his faith.
Sharing Krishna consciousness means helping someone retain their faith. Amazing.
And everyone has faith.
Yes.
Either you die,
Yeah.
And help them read.
Right.
Because everybody has to have faith.
Yeah.
Themselves.
Totally. It's not just that when someone gets initiated, then ultimately, I mean, and then, we think that everything's going to be easy. It's like they need to be cared for, like you said, throughout. And to create a structure for that is important. Devotee care. Yes, Garanga.
He was also focusing on devotees who do lead to feel like that's very much overlooked. Like we focus on you, we focus on present, but we also want to notice that some devotees do leave because they feel affected and
Right.
we have a bigger congregation. It's harder to notice, but it's very important to understand why they're leaving
Yes.
and focus on that because that's also how we feel like reaching out to take care of devotee care. So I thought about that.
Understanding why devotees leave. Yeah, it's very important. Manram Prabhu, you had something?
The point was about whatever it is with mentioning, how to prevent devotees from leaving.
How to prevent devotees from leaving.
What can we do more of to just focus the vision out there and then show we've made another devotee.
Yeah. I think relationships are really important. I'm not sure if it works. I haven't seen it in America, but the counseling system that works other places, it works in Russia and India, but some iteration of that needs to be done here as well, that a devotee is counseled or taken care of by another devotee, that when they might feel uninspired or they stop coming to the temple, someone asks why and follows up with them. I was thinking of doing something for the ALP, maybe something like a devotee database that each temple can use. You have a picture of them and what their family situation is and any follow-up, like any kind of history about them, just so we can keep track of people. Because if a temple has so many people coming in, like, I don't know, Dallas, you have like 700 people in the Sunday feast. If you're able to track all of those people and know exactly what each of them, what their situation is, you can effectively take care of them, right? So maybe that's something that we need to work on. But to answer your question, I think it's relationships.
And not only this thing here, we started to plan the Vaishnavas to keep a track of the Vaishnavis in centers.
Yeah.
And it has become a database of talent.
Mm.
Anytime we
Exactly. Yeah.
like we need somebody to work on our website,
Right.
just send out email and there'll be like at least 4 or 5 Vaishnavas that work, in that field. So it's been very enriching. So that's how
Human resources, yeah.
Sorry.
Krishna conscious human resources, yeah.
I was reading what was the last point, but I just want to tack on to additional lessons on what they want to do. We're kind of
Asking them what they want to do, yeah.
talk about the desires, right? What's the thing they want to do the service? And then, yeah, I love this idea on a basis. Talents, desire, what they're trying to do.
I saw that at the Bhaktivedanta Manor they do the Janmashtami festivals. It's like 80,000, 100,000 people they get, but they have, I think, something like 1,000 or 2,000 volunteers. And there's a devotee keeps track of the volunteers and he takes a picture of each of them, what service that they want to do. And so I thought maybe like every temple should have such a software or a database that they can plug everything in and be able to track everything. What gets measured gets managed. I think that was the Vaisheshika Prabhu, yeah.
So when as a teenager, I was sorry.
Michael should have been.
So as a teenager, I was part of the council assistant, and it was very helpful.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I did see some challenges in terms of, you're just being put under a counselor, you didn't really connect with one.
Yes.
So if there could be something where, counselors wouldn't feel offended, if the counseling movement.
Yeah. Mhm.
That with that intimate setting, being able to have those 6 exchanges with the other counselors and the counselor, especially when our Diksha gurus and maybe some Siksha gurus are also very, very busy and have a lot of disciples.
Yeah.
So that void can be filled in through mentorship.
Yeah. Rose, please.
Sorry for the program, I asked one question, like a very different. So, I was reading the translation to know, so I was trying to read again. Leader who have fallen into ignorance. So first, my that is he was an example. He was leader before, but now the leader has fallen into ignorance, right? So how come what is the qualification for someone to fall down? So fall into ignorance if he's a leader. Second, if he was a leader and he fall down, how how he has that quality that he can still leading people, like he says listening, but still there is a leading quality he still has, and that somehow think that is attractive, that mislead people by directing them to the path of destruction. So first he was leader before, but now fall, what caused that ignorance, what how he fall, and third is how even falling down he can still have that charisma of leading people or attracting people to fall into the destruction.
So Srila Prabhupada's talking in this purport about materialistic leaders. So political leaders. They're, in one way, they're charismatic and they're leading people, but they're also engaging in abominable activities, and that's considered fallen. That's what they're referring to, materialistic leaders.
But then materialistic leader are already in ignorance, right? But here saying leader who have fallen into ignorance. And why the word leader was used before who have fallen?
Well, it's also in the context of Indra. Indra is a demigod, and he fell into ignorance. I think he was with his wife, and he was just kind of drunk on his own power, and he didn't notice Brahaspati come in. And because of that ignorance, Brahaspati got upset and I think cursed him. And so he's lamenting in this verse that, speaking about himself, leaders who have fallen into ignorance, speaking about himself, fell into ignorance. He wasn't able to lead, respect his guru, and then that's what that verse is about.
Because the very interesting second part in the translation, the analogy was given with stone. It can be given with any other thing. But stone, what analogy was used in very specific.
Mm.
The leader who have fallen.
Does anyone else want? Yeah, Gopal Haripur, please.
Actually, I will answer a different question. But yeah, yeah, I think that's maybe your understanding that Prabhupada here is speaking. The verse is largely speaking. Indra is related himself or identifying materialistic. So even though he is a devotee,
Right.
he's saying that I'm just a materialist who's not qualified to sit on the throne because I don't have a wooden boat, I have a stone boat. Whoever's going to follow me is going to I am seen from my yeah, I agree.
Is that satisfactory, Vishnu?
So what my understanding is a false ego is the reason why the he was leader before and he fall into.
Yeah, you could say that.
Can we say this false ego resembles a stone hearted? That's why I say stone ego. Like
Maybe you could make that connection.
Indra fall because he didn't respect his guru. So because of
False ego, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe that is one of the reasons.
Yep, you can infer that, yeah.
Actually, I was reminded of a belief example that she gives. Is that if you're not connected to the tree, and if a leader starts thinking independently,
Right.
thinks that it doesn't need the tree,
Mm.
if the leader starts feeling that it does not need a support system, also if the leader stops practicing being connected to Krishna and the devotees, then what happens is the leader falls away. So similarly, that can be an example fall down, basically. Not came to that, right? I was just reminded of that example.
Yeah,
Okay,
please.
so excellent class.
Oh, thank you.
All the points, like to the point.
Thank you.
And particularly on the point they're saying we have to see the needs of the society, not about anyone else, like not maybe because we're thinking that and this is important, it's all this is what I want, but what I want is may not be the same that the needs of what we have. So we always have to see the bigger picture. And it's this is not about me and mine, it's about everyone. So you never die like that. And because we have to remember always that when we are doing the service, we are doing the service for Srila Prabhupada to please Krishna. And if Krishna is free, then everything else, everybody else is going to pay with him for praise. So we should always have that mentality and humility to accept that if I'm wrong, like Prabhupada was saying, it's okay to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, right? No,
Yeah.
sugarcoat it. But what are we going to do about it? Make improvements. And that in itself is an example. And if others want to see that, well, we ourselves, we make a mistake, we acknowledge that we made a mistake and we are making corrections, they themselves will be inspired to go the same trend. Otherwise, if we make a mistake and we sort of put on the rock,
Yeah.
they're going to do the same thing. And then the wrong culture will be.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, we see our senior devotees, their example of how they took the austerity to cooperate with each other, and we should follow suit. I think it's really important. And that's the needs of the movement before their own. That okay, I might have a certain opinion or a certain way of functioning, but Srila Prabhupada said, you will show your love for me by how you cooperate with each other. And that's something that I think is like GBC, college, and things bring there's a certain baggage with with GBC. So, but for me personally, I had to kind of work through those things and try to, although I'm still working through those things. Like Govinda Priya posted a photo on her WhatsApp story yesterday, and a mutual friend of ours saw it, and she put it on a group of devotees that I'm with, and they're like, "Oh my God, now I'm sprung with GBC. We can't be careful what you say on this group," and all this like making fun, like. And I was like, "Oh no, what did you do?" Like, "Oh, I didn't share that." But it's about changing also the culture of we can change that culture by act, GVC ambassador for change, and my street cred will go way down. I had to explain street cred to who was that? Oh yeah, Krishna Kumar Prabhu. He was like, "What's street cred?" Yes, Mati.
So I've noticed the trend lately, like with the distributors, right? They're distributing entire Bhagavatam to just people on the street, people that maybe have never heard of Krishna.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. But I've seen like actually, I've seen at least one instance where there was a girl. She showed a little bit of interest. She distributed a Bhagavatam set, and she came to the disciples course and she quit because she said, "Oh, I don't need this because I am a guru. I don't need it." And so we tried explaining to her, that every guru has a guru. But then she used that Bhagavatam set to gain credibility to her disciples, and she ended up misleading them by kind of borrowing the credibility of the Bhagavatam set. And then she actually came to the temple and tried to pick a physical fight with me. And so I was just wondering if you have anything to say about that, because I think sometimes people are so eager to give Krishna consciousness that they're not really thinking about, is this person who's ready for this? I mean, she should given a Bhagavad Gita and some more things, not an entire Bhagavad Gita. But I mean, I don't know.
I don't think it was the books that did it. I think it's super auspicious to have a Bhagavatam set in your home. It's like basically Krishna in your home. Um, I think maybe it was just maybe she had some bad association, thought weren't, according to the and if someone like that comes to the temple, we should explain that this is an institution, many temples, and we have guidelines of how things function in the temple. And if those things aren't being followed, to call the local authorities to be able to, you know, keep things function how they should.
Indeed, that's what happened. Maybe we should try to get to know someone just a little bit.
Totally.
Leaving them an entire book.
Totally, yeah. I mean, it comes from the history of book distribution in America, that at one point, like even Badri Hariprabhu was saying, I sold everything but books. It was about Lakshmi points, essentially. Lakshmi points is like, it's the best score we can get, and it doesn't matter how we distribute or what we distribute, it's about the money or about the numbers. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we should get to know someone, not just try to book and see you later, never see you again, kind of thing. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, sorry, you had a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But I wanted to mention that I never really thought about it. I thought of like the same for me.
Right.
We generally think of leaders, we think about teams, we think about communities. And I really good. That's the intention almost taking that. And what has been autonomous, and the other time it's a spiritual organizations and Paulus are the leaders. Like I remember when Paulus became Jesus chairman, the Jesuit Swami said, that's what we do, we take the best out of them, make him Jesus chairman.
Mm,
Paulus.
right.
Um, but you mentioned like Nadamuni's example, and as Guru Maharaj, initially he had um, given Srimad the highest instruction. Just go back home and this is how you relate for highest people. It was under the new and show compassion, someone who feel was fear, and showing respect, pay attention to people, and worship the Supreme Lord. And then realize that I can do that. And so then he gives him an instruction that he can follow. So, okay, go to the forest, form austerities, form penance. And in this way, you'll see the Lord. So he gives him an instruction that's on his level,
Mm,
on his level that he can fulfill, and then comes and that brings him to the level of us. So very ideally that way. And so if you were to apply that in our situation, some people might say, well, that's watered down philosophy. So, do you have any further comment on that? How to give people an instruction that's unfair, yet not watered down things.
yeah, I mean, so many thoughts about that, but I think we see. I think conch is blowing. Well, Hare Krishna. Thank you, everyone.